Welcome to the workshop on project proposal writing. This is a summary of the workshop that was conducted on 7 December 2014. I am Gihan Vikramanayaka, Director UCSC, and I have with me Tushani Veerasinghe, course coordinator of this project. We had several other resource persons who assisted us in the actual workshop, which was a half-day session participating many students. So, we want to highlight certain important parts of this workshop in this recording, and first of all we like to emphasize that this project course is a compulsory course which you have to pass in order to get the degree. In addition, this course, how it is conducted is different to the traditional other courses where you prepare and then sit the exam and then you try to pass, whereas here you need to apply what you have learned throughout the 3 years program and show their skills with respect to the software development. So, for that purpose we look that you have put some effort in this development process, and that involves about 300 hours of work which you have to perform during the year. So, from now onwards, if you look at, you have roughly 7-8 months time to complete the project, and out of which you will also sit some exams and you need time for that as well. So, in general you have to spend at least about 10 hours of work for a week in order to achieve this minimum 300 hours. So, in order to start the project, you have to first identify a supervisor. So, you need to find a person who will help you, guide you with respect to carrying out the project tasks during the year. So, to do that you need to find someone who can spend time with you as needed. So, that is one of the important steps, and then you are developing this project to meet a requirement of a client. So, client is someone who has some requirement with respect to a software development of that organization, and then again the client should be available for you to tell their requirements, and then you need to have someone who will agree with working with you in providing the requirements, as well as at the end who will evaluate and see whether you have met with the requirements. And finally, you have to submit whatever you have identified as a project as a proposal to the university, and we have a project examination board who will evaluate your submission and guide you with respect to the active stages of this project. So, as an outline of this session, you want to first highlight on selecting a project, selecting a client and a supervisor, and then we will focus on briefing, elaborating on the how to select a problem, objectives, how to evaluate it, and how to use the learning environment we have provided to you. So, my task first is to briefly explain you about how to select a client to do a project. Now, first of all, you need to have a supervisor who will guide you. So, you need to make sure that the supervisor's interest matches with the client you identify. So, otherwise a supervisor will not be able to guide you with interest in order to achieve the objectives. And then how to select a client, best is if you are already working, then to see whether your organization has a problem and they are willing to provide you some guidance with respect to identifying a problem and acting as the client, then you will have more support in achieving the objectives. Otherwise, you have to seek with respect to some assistance from people like your friends or parents or organizations where you will be studying and so forth, and identify a suitable project. So, you have to keep in mind that this project is a software development project. You have to apply the development skills and demonstrate that you are capable of developing implementing a software as required by a client. And to do that successfully, you need to make sure that once you identify a client, you have to make sure that same problem have not been solved before by another BIT student or some other papers, because then there is no purpose of re-implementing something already solved. So, you need to consider that as well, and also it is good to select something that is outside the interest of your own family, because you will otherwise will not be able to judge properly the our requirements and match with respect to the hours of work what we expect from a project. So, from the supervisor point of view, so the supervisor has to be someone who is experienced in handling projects. So, if he has done some similar project as part of the education process, then that will be more helpful for you. So, it is up to you to identify a correct supervisor who will be able to guide you when you need. So, we expect the supervisor to spend with you some time every other week or so, and if you can communicate with him through email or other forms, that will be helpful, because whenever you have a problem, you should not keep the problem with you, you should discuss with others and try to solve it, and someone who is accessible is very useful. Again, try to avoid using someone close relative, because they will not be able to identify properly the how to deal with certain situations. So, next I will pass to Tushani to explain on identifying the problem.
Yes, now you need to identify the problem. When you want to identify the problem, you have to visit the client's place. So, you can conduct some interviews, surveys. So, for that you need some questionnaires as well. So, you prepare some questions and go there and do some site visits. So, then collect the information about the site and the context where you need to conduct the project, and then recognize whether there is a problem existing. So, you have to study the nature of the problem, how significant the problem is. If you do not solve this problem, what will happen as a result? Then what causes are there for this problem? So, likewise, and who are affected with this? So, those things you have to identify. Those things will help you to see whether there what motivation is for to conduct in the project. So, then you need to know how to define the objectives for the project. So, for that you have the problem here, and first you had identified the problem. So, in order to solve the problem, you have to identify the goal. So, by solving the problem, in order to solve the problem, you have to achieve the goal. So, write down that one in a proper way, and then in order to achieve the goal, you have to identify the objectives. So, those objectives should be SMART. So, those things you have to consider by looking at the detailed information that we are providing with the workshop that we had on 7th of December. The more information is there. So, then once you identify the objectives, those will be like objective 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise you will find lot of objectives. So, sometimes you may find some more objectives as sub objectives. So, those things will be listed and properly organized, and then identify the scope, what objectives you can cover during the project time. So, all of these objectives sometimes you will not be able to cover during the project. So, you have to identify which objectives you can finish or achieve during the project time. Then by doing that, you have to identify the critical functionalities of this project, the system that you are going to develop. So, that will be the functionalities that will cover by achieving the objectives. So, when we define what critical functionalities is, we can say that those critical functionalities will be the things like which should be necessarily included in the project, and which should be able to perform without any errors or mistakes. So, now when you identify all these functionalities, you can properly define the scope of the project. So, let us see how to prepare the project time plan. That is the next necessity in the proposal template that we have given you. So, Professor Gihan Wickramayaka will help you to understand what it is.
Yeah, with respect to the project time plan, now you need to identify various stages of the project, and you need to identify which outputs you need to submit particularly to the university. So, based on that you need to manage your time. We have set certain time scale for various deliverables. So, that is based on the average time that is required and if you can meet those stages with adequate details, then that means you are proceeding with the project as scheduled. So, so for that basically we expect you all to prepare a Gantt chart identifying various stages. So, once you commence the project and proceed, you need to always check whether you are on time, what stages you have to do at a given time period, and then that will help you to ensure that you are not deviating a lot from this project plan. So, a sample Gantt chart is given. So, you need to keep in mind these various deadlines and tasks you have identified to achieve during your project time, and try to meet those deadlines during the project period. So, so one other important thing is at the end of the project you are supposed to do a evaluation with respect to the project, and you can't evaluate the project without knowing what you have to do. So, usually the evaluation is done with the help of the client. Mainly the client must agree that what you have done meets his original expectation. So, with respect to the software engineering concepts, you would have learned various testing mechanisms like unit testing, functional testing and integration and so forth. So, you need to make sure that whatever you have done is able to meet these things. So, so you need various test data to fulfill these things. So, you if you think you are unable to collect the test data or unable to carry out certain testing path, then that means that you are lacking certain expected outcome. So, therefore, you need to be sure that once you identify and finalize the project, you are able to complete it not only by just developing, but also by testing and getting it evaluated by the intended users. And finally, I also want to highlight with respect to revisit the supervisor's role. I mentioned about meeting the supervisor every other week or so. So, other than going to the client and gathering requirements, so whenever you gather, you need to let the supervisor know. So, if the supervisor is working in the IT environment, then you can use the electronic form to keep him updated with whatever the discussions you had with the clients, and then you can have, even if you are staying in a remote place, most supervisors are maybe in the Colombo district, but if you are living outside, you need to make sure supervisor is accessible through phone or through Skype or some electronic media. Otherwise, you will not be able to continue with these discussions and make sure that you are going in the right direction, because supervisor's role is to make sure the candidate is proceeding in the right path and will be able to achieve the final goal at the end of the project. So, similarly, the client with respect to you will meet mainly in the initial stages, but once you finish the design, it's always good to go and present the design to the client and make sure that is what the client wanted. Then after that you can develop, and once you have a implemented system, you can give the solution to the client and get the feedback from the client as well. So, to explain about the learning environment, I will ask Tushani to explain.
Yes, the students can have access to the virtual learning environment, where they can find the online course of the BIT project. So, then there they can have the they can access the course from vle.bit.lk/project. Then there they can submit their reports and also find some information related to the project, how to conduct the project, how to select a supervisor, all that information is available there in the online course environment. And then in order to submit the project proposal document, also they have a template. So, you can download the template from the online course environment and complete the form, upload it to the online course environment. Then the detailed forms are also available there. Where you have to enter the details information to the online course itself without uploading any document. And then if it is like this, where you can see the course environment. It is there you can find the project guideline and you can download it, and the schedule is also available there, and you can see the list of facilitators available in the online course, including me as the course coordinator, and there are 2 other facilitators available. You can ask questions from them personally or by sending using the private messaging facility available in the virtual learning environment, and also by submitting forum posts there, where you can discuss matters with the other students available in the online course environment. And it is a requirement of the online course environment here. Actually, you can share your material what you have identified as very important and can be shared among the others, so that you can collaboratively learn together. There you can have the this interface. You can see that there is a template available for the project proposal document, and also you can submit the project proposal details to the online course environment itself. And then if you want to submit the project proposal document, when you click on the link available there, it will open your interface like this, and then it will provide you the deadline and all the other information how to upload the project proposal document as well. What you have to do is to click on the add submission button here, and when you click on the add submission button there, it will open you another interface like this, where you can click on the add link available on the interface, or you can drag and drop your project proposal document to the interface with an arrow, showing the arrow, and then there you can, once you have done that, you can see the file available in the white area here, and once you find it, you have to click on the save changes button here. But by looking at the file here, don't think that the file is already saved. It is not saved there. Until you click on the save changes button, it will not permanently saved in the LMS, virtual learning environment. So, you can have the forums and the private messaging facility, as I said. So, use those facilities available in the online course environment, and then learn together with the other students as well. Yeah, so, we have come to the end of this workshop explanation here, and the Professor Gihan will explain you what sort of things are available in the project proposal document.
Yeah. So finally, to submit the proposal, there are certain there is a format, and there are certain content to be completed. So, first thing is to identify what is your project title. So, to decide what should be the title, it all depends on the main critical functions what you have identified as part of the project. So, the project what type of project should be reflected from the title, and also it should reflect who is the client. So, both these things should be covered in the title. You will separately have various client information, and you will also describe the motivation for the project, objectives, and critical functions, and so forth. Also, you will identify what type of deliverables you are going to give at the end of the project. Now, part of the project you will write the dissertation, you will have software, but here we are looking with respect to the particular project. So, if it is a payroll project, then your deliverable should be related to the payroll. It should not be just saying I am giving a dissertation or software or CD. You have to be more specific, targeting the main functions of a payroll system or something, whatever you have selected. So, so that is important. Then you will also have this Gantt chart, which will also help you to monitor your various activities, and then what type of resources you will need in order to implement this proposal. And so, you need to think about the software required, whether you have the hardware software required for the implementation, and then finally, as mentioned before, how you would evaluate it, so that you can smoothly continue with your project and achieve the final goal of successfully completing. So, we expect you all to submit this proposal by 7th of January 2015, and hope you will follow these guidelines and successfully complete this project.